In recent weeks, as the virus has spread and economic hardship has followed, we have seen Americans unite with incredible selflessness and compassion. I want to remind everyone here in our nation's capital, especially in Congress, that this is not the time for politics, endless partisan investigations. Here we go again.
Yep.
Have already done extraordinary damage to our country in recent years. You see what happens. It's witch hunt after witch hunt after witch hunt. And in the end, the people doing the witch hunt have been losing, and they've been losing by a lot. It's not any time for witch hunts. It's time to get this enemy defeated. Conducting these partisan investigations in the middle of a pandemic is a really big waste of vital resources, time, attention. And we want to fight for American lives, not waste time and build up my poll numbers, because that's all they're doing, because everyone knows it's ridiculous.
How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about what you just saw, which was President Trump reacting to Nancy Pelosi's latest set of shenanigans. She has introduced yet another quote-unquote bipartisan committee to investigate the president, this time over the whole China virus kerfuffle. She wants to see if his response was appropriate. Did it come too late? Did he do the right things? And they also want to have oversight into the whole bailout package. They want to see if the money is being spent appropriately, if it's not being wasted, if it's not any kind of fraud or abuse or any kind of favoritism or whatnot. Now, this is crazy coming from Nancy Pelosi and anybody over on the left, because let's not forget, the bill had different permutations before it actually got approved, because the left wanted to put all kind of pork in there, and a lot of the pork still remains in the bill, which is not a good thing, but I digress. They're talking about things like $35 million to the Kennedy Center, and by the way, they got $25 million and then fire a bunch of their staff like the next day, which is a whole different story, so I'll move on. Anyway, they were trying to put money in there to fund abortion. I mean, all kind of ridiculous things that came from the left, but yet Nancy Pelosi wants to have a bipartisan, quote unquote, committee to look into waste, fraud, and abuse. The waste, fraud, and abuse is written in the bill itself that you signed off on, that you wanted to have. Matter of fact, there was more waste, fraud, and abuse written in the bill that the Democrats wanted from the very beginning, until the Republicans had to come in and try to compromise on some things and change it. But also, this is just yet another attempt to try and ruin the president. You know what they say over on the left? You cannot let a good tragedy go to waste. You can't do it. Right now, during the whole China virus freak out that's gripping the entire nation and the world, they want to take advantage of it for their own political purposes. And I think maybe they think that this will work, unlike the previous things that they have tried. Remember, from the very beginning, before he even became the president, it was a whole Stormy Daniels and all these women coming out talking about Donald Trump used me, abused me, this, that, and the third. That didn't really work. Then it became Russia this, Russia that, Russia. Donald Trump is a Russian agent. It got so bad that they wiretapped the Trump Tower. All kind of stuff from that didn't go anywhere. Then, in a last-ditch effort, they tried to tie Trump to Ukraine and an improper phone call talking about abuse of power, obstruction of Congress. They impeached him over that. That didn't go anywhere. So they're still faced with the problem of having Trump in office, because he's not going to go anywhere. Joe Biden is the guy that's going to be the presumptive nominee in the Democratic Party. He doesn't really know who he is, where he is, what day it is, or whatever. Trump is old at like 73 or 74, but he is a spring chicken compared to Joe Biden. Although Biden's like maybe about 3 or 4 years older than Trump, not that much older. Mentally and physically, he's about 87 to 99 years old. He is a fossil. He should go ahead and retire. Shouldn't be out there trying to campaign. At this particular point, it's elder abuse from the Democratic Party, but I'll move on. The point is that Joe Biden is not a competent person to try and face off against Trump and have any kind of chance of winning. So the Democrats are still faced with the problem of having Trump in office for the next 4 years after he gets elected again in November. So they're going to try to get him out of there. And what better way to do it than to try to capitalize on this tragedy we have going on right now in the nation? They want to use this whole thing to try and remove the president. And it's really crazy because you're not going to be successful. I think people that are just regular, everyday normies out there working, going to school, whatever they're doing, they don't like what the Democrats are doing. They don't like the constant attacks. And I think many that are thinking kind of objectively here and not so much tied up in their, their political ideology or in their political bias can understand that the Democrats are trying to use this tragedy for their own purposes. Your Nancy Pelosi, your Adam Schiff. Adam Schiff wants like a 9/11 commission to be investigating the whole thing, talking about what went wrong, why didn't this happen, why didn't that happen. And I got to address that right quick because many people in the mainstream media on the left, they're saying that Trump didn't do an appropriate job to try and mitigate some damage we're having. And our numbers right now, as far as deaths, are higher than China. They're saying all kind of things. Let's start with the last thing first. How does anyone know what China's numbers actually are? China will tell you anything they want you to hear, okay? They're not gonna be an honest place. If you think that you can go to China and say whatever you want, do whatever you want, like you can over here in the States, you're sadly mistaken. They will punish their own people for saying the wrong thing and doing the wrong thing. Okay. They put their own people in concentration camps. They put their own people up under slave labor. They subject their own people to terrible environmental conditions. People talk about climate change and global warming and pollution and whatnot, but they don't talk about how China is an egregious violator of any kind of green policy. Are they part of the Paris Climate Accord? I don't know, but if they are, it doesn't matter. Go to Beijing, Shanghai, you're smoking 3 packs of Newports every hour. That's pretty much what it's like being outside. You can't even open your windows there because there's so much pollution that it get into your lungs and give you emphysema at age 25. But I digress. The point is that China can do whatever they want, say whatever they want. A lot of politicians over here in the United States appear to be in China's pocket. When Trump calls the virus the China virus, which is appropriate, it came from China. When he says that, they say he's racist, they say he's wrong, all this, that, and the third. How does that make any sense? German measles, Lyme disease, Spanish flu, although that came from China as well, but that's a different story. You name a particular thing from where it came. MERS, Middle Eastern Respiratory Syndrome, Ebola. It was a river in Africa named the Ebola River. That's where it came from. It's racist because a lot of these people are in China's pocket and then they believe whatever China tells them. So when they say, oh, we only had 4,000 deaths, you just take that for gospel. I mean, come on. The epicenter of the China virus in Wuhan, China, has a metro area of 50 million people. Put it into perspective. That's more than California as a state. The total state of California has like 38 maybe million people, and that's a lot of people. Just that one city region of China has 50 million people. The entire country, 1.3 billion with a B. Would it be billion? So you mean to tell me that at the epicenter of it, where everybody was dropping dead on camera, you only had about 4,000 or 5,000 deaths? I mean, let's be serious. Come on. It doesn't make any sense. Even Italy had more deaths than that, but China did not. And that's the epicenter. They tell you anything. And mainstream media, Fox, MS-13, NBC, etc., they'll pretty much parrot that. The left Democrats, they'll parrot the same thing. Some maybe even on the right. Okay? So we can't really trust China with the numbers. So to say this whole thing about, oh, we're not doing a good job because China did better than us is ridiculous. And if they did do better than us, why? Because they're welding people inside their homes. If you are a person that they think has a virus, they may remove you from your home by force and put you in the camp, maybe even kill you. They don't talk about that, but I'll move on. Then they say Trump didn't act quickly enough. Well, I remember when a lot of the leftist publications online and off were talking about, oh, don't freak out because of the virus and, don't stop living your life. Bill de Blasio, as recently as early March, was saying, hey, don't stop living, keep going out, go celebrate, go here, go there, giving recommendations on where to actually go. But Trump had stopped travel from China in January. Okay, he was responding to the virus in January. In March, all of a sudden, everybody trying to catch up, and they're saying that Trump didn't act quick enough. It doesn't make any sense. Like, politics aside, me being a Trump supporter aside, just look at it for what it is. If you stop travel from China in January, and in March, people say that you didn't act quick enough, it's like, what are you supposed to do? It wasn't no test back then. So there's nothing else you can do but just stop the travel from where the epicenter is and then stop the spread that way. But it wasn't a test to say, oh, okay, you have it, you don't. I mean, what else can actually be done? I think all that could have been done has been done. And quite frankly, I think too much has been done. If it were me, I would not have all these kind of rules in the book talking about, oh, you can't be, you got to have social distancing. You can't be having your restaurant open. You can't have this open, you can't have that open, shelter in place. I wouldn't do all that. So I think that we have gone above and beyond to stop the spread of the virus. This panel, this quote unquote bipartisan committee, is nothing else other than the tool to try and get the president removed from office. It's not going to work. You still got to go out there and campaign, Democrats. I know Joe Biden has breathed a breath of relief because he can be at home and not campaigning, although he can't sniff kids anymore. That's a different story, though. I'll move on. He's relieved because he's not campaigning, but at a certain point, he has to resume campaigning. He has to engage in debates with Donald Trump, and it's not going to go well for him. When it comes down to vote, it's not going to go well for him. You don't even see him on TV anymore. You see Trump every day leading the nation, and people are going to recognize that, and they're going to appreciate that come election time. This panel, this committee will go nowhere. But I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? Do you think that Nancy Pelosi's bipartisan panel has the objective of trying to remove the president or to make the president look bad or to find some kind of fault with them? If that's your viewpoint, let me know why in the comments below. Or is it a good thing to have a panel like this for oversight into what happened with the virus response and also for the bailout bill? If that's your viewpoint, let me know why in the comments below. I'm having a hard time thinking that they're serious with this thing about trying to investigate waste, fraud, and abuse when waste, fraud, and abuse is baked into the bailout package in written law that the Democrats wanted to have in there. But whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.